Bad.
Ryan Divish is with us for his weekly appearance, and normally we find him in different locations in different spots. I believe we find him at the Tacoma YMCA.
Yeah, University of Washington
And
and
yes,
Tacoma
frozen.
YMCA. So
Hold on, you froze on us. Where do we find you today at the Tacoma YMCA?
University of Washington, Tacoma YMCA. There's two within about half a mile of each other, but I'm at the UW Tacoma Y. I don't know why I came to this one. I think it's whatever one I find parking first at. The other one's got a steam room, which I really like, but at the same time, I don't like how some dudes operate in the steam room. Like these dudes are wearing bare feet in the steam room, like bare feet in the locker room.
Well, what's wrong with bare feet in a steam room?
Well, because it's just a you don't want to. Yeah, no, I don't need it.
Okay,
Like put some flip flops on.
that's fair.
When you get MRSA, don't blame me.
I almost just spit out my coffee. Divish's weekly visit is brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, established back in 1941. Located in Tacoma's Proctor District, family owned and operated for 40 years. The Frederick family and staff specializes in customer service for your bowling, food, and fun experience. At their unique 12-lane facility, go to chaletbowl.com to make your next reservation. He's at the UW. He's got a fresh haircut, and he's ready to roll on a Friday, June 28th edition of the Ryan Divish Extravaganza. All right, they're back home after a lengthy, unsuccessful road trip, Ryan. And did I see this on the old social media platform? Is this only their, like yesterday, Thursday, which they were home and didn't have to do anything? Was that their second off day at home this season?
Yeah, it's not been normal by any means.
That is, I want people, and I know they make a lot of money, and they're professional athletes, and they're playing they're playing a kid's game. But man, that is a wear and tear. Imagine the wear on not only them but their family.
Oh, yeah, it's not normal, and it's product of the new scheduling system and how they're doing stuff. And so I think that's been an issue as well. And I mean, like MLB don't care. Like they make all the concessions for the Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, And so it's like, yeah, they just kind of have to wear it. I mean, I think they've had like only 3 days off in the last 40 days, anyways, 45 games or something like that. So I mean, like it's a problem, but I'm not. I'm not, people don't feel sorry for him, but yeah, it sucks. And really like that kind of stuff though is a detractor for players wanting to come here. They hear about it from other players. They see it and they think, well, why in the hell would I want to go to suburban Alaska where I don't get, have any off days? Because like that's the thing. Like you have, they fly back from Tampa or whatever. And then, that's a 6 hour, 5.5 hour, 6 hour flight. And then your day's kind of wasted. Like, yesterday, I didn't get a fly back after the game. I flew back yesterday morning. So I got up at about 3:30 Tampa time so I could catch my 7 a.m. flight or, and 6.5 hours later flight. And then don't even get me started about SeaTac. It took me an hour and a half to get out of SeaTac, to get my bags, to get off the plane, to get my bags, to get parking. The people that are running this remodel of SeaTac and how they're doing it, they should be held in like a public forum and answer questions, and then I don't know, then forced to carry bags for the rest of their lives. It's so stupid. Drives me nuts.
It's a real bad situation there.
It's
I
the
mean,
single
my
worst
God.
airport. Like it's gonna pass LAX as one of the worst airports I've ever had to deal with. It's just so bad.
I'll be honest with you. I think LAX is better.
God. I just, it's O'Hare, Atlanta, LAX, Seattle. Seattle's moving up it's moving up fast. Like we get those stupid studies and someone's like, oh yeah, Seattle, one of the better airports. No, really not.
All right. So, but again, we've talked about this before, and I mean, I'm just going to, it would behoove this team to either get their own plane or work with Alaska or Delta or somebody and just retrofit a plane for them so they can advertise that to free agents and be like, "Look, we understand that it's far. We understand the travel issues. But listen, we got our own plane that's all tricked out. That it's a state-of-the-art thing that nobody else in baseball has." I mean, we're giving them free ideas, Divish. I don't know why John Stanton and old Larson don't take us up on it.
It seems like a smarter investment than maybe, I don't know, redoing a brewery and then charging $25 for a cheeseburger and $15 for a beer and then not understanding why anybody goes there, or buying a whole paint store that you're going to make into a team store, but then not having the money to change it.
What happened to weren't they supposed to make like a baseball and softball facility down there?
Yeah, it's supposed to be over kind of by where where the paint store is.
Yeah, what happened to that?
The flooring store. They're just behind schedule or over budget, probably. I don't know, one of the two.
Yeah, is it really $25 for a burger there?
It's like 22, I think. I mean, it's just like again, vice president of common sense. Like, if you're gonna do it, and they went so over the top with everything, and like, remember who you want, like.
Yeah.
You've been in Boston, you've been to Wrigleyville, you've been to the behind on, Lansdowne Street where the bars are in Fenway. These aren't like fancy places. They're just bars. Make it a sports bar that like people, I mean, for God's sakes, the one time I went in there, they still weren't even showing sports in the halfback. It drives me nuts.
Well, I mean, we can get on a long rant about this one because this is a problem in all of Seattle.
I mean,
is this a problem in Tacoma? Because in Seattle, it's an epidemic.
No.
You walk into a place that has TVs that allegedly says we show sports, and you get up there and you go, "Hey, can we switch the game? The Mariners are playing right now. Can we switch the game?" And it's everyone that's watching or listening to this has gone through the same issue. One, they'll never do it. So you got to ask multiple times. Then they get annoyed, and then they can't find it. And I'm like, we live in Seattle, and it's on Root Sports. Like, you have cable. Don't you know where it's at? And it should be on already. Not, why are we showing some obscure hockey game or whatever else? We live in Seattle. So is that not an issue in Tacoma? They have it pretty much under control?
Puckett, the kind of bars that I go to in Tacoma and in Pierce County, they're going to have it on because I don't go to the kind of bars that wouldn't have it on. That's the difference.
That's true.
I mean, no, it drives me nuts. But there is no, I love the Roanoke and the guys there, but there is no true sports bar in Seattle anymore. They had the Fox Sports Grill and what's that game on or whatever down there. But
yeah.
Like a true like old school. I know that John Howie does was the Lodge. But like, again, like it's just a sports bar, like, because like I don't count Sluggers because it closes so damn early.
Yeah, no, especially right down there. But let me give a shout out to one of the greatest and oldest bars all around, Mike's Chili Parlor. The Chili's always got games on. There's never a time that you don't walk into the Chili where it doesn't have a game on. Now, I would suggest don't go there. We don't want too many people there, just a few. But
if you're gonna go in there and then start asking about gluten-free beer, or if you're going to go in there and say, I'm looking for a really good martini, get the hell out. Okay, don't go there.
Yeah, you're not going to get a martini poured for you there.
Go in there, order the Rainier.
Yeah.
Don't worry about whether or not like the chili looks a little greasy. You spin it around, you get some chili, get a bowl of chili, some cheese.
Yeah.
And you're good.
What's your go-to spot in Tacoma? I mean, I'm sure you have several, but and I know I'm asking you to pick like your favorite child, but.
Yeah, we used to go to the West End pub a lot to watch hoops and stuff, and that's pretty good. That's a good sports bar. We go to Hank's now, the corner bar. They've got probably one of the best bar pizzas in all of that I've ever had.
Is that by UPS?
It's going. That's Magoo's, I think. But you can go. Hank's is kind of more in between Stadium District and 6th Avenue, but it's a good old school bar. We go there quite a bit. There's another place called 1111. Great sandwiches. You've been there.
Yep. All right. What's with the rotation today? Friday's game, it will feature Gilbert. What about Saturday and Sunday? Are they going to move things around?
So it's Gilbert and then Bryce, right? And then, I guess they could swap it. They have Bryce slotted now, and then Sunday TBA. They could move it around a little bit more, but that's that's kind of where they're at. I think, I wrote that they would probably insert Hancock into that spot. That way they give everybody the extra day. I think
Right.
Castillo could use the extra day. So we'll see. It may be all on how Hancock's feeling as well and everything like that. But I expect that Hancock will start on Sunday. And then you'd have Castillo, Gilbert, and or Castillo, Kirby, and Gilbert lined up for
the Orioles, right? Yeah. Because then, as you wrote today in the paper, it avoids Miller having to face them with a bevy of left-handers, and he gets to face all the right-handers pretty much with Toronto.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense. And also, like, that Emerson comes back against Toronto, too, because you don't want to, or whatever, you won't slot in there. So that's what that's my expectation. But, I guess obviously that could change. Hancock left his last outing early because of a sore back. All indications are that he's fine. So I think that's the deal.
Hey, you wrote it about a lot about it in the paper today. So what's and you went over the stats, and it's offensively, it's not a big difference, kind of what they're doing on the road and at home.
Yeah.
But pitching wise, as you noted, and we've talked about this before, there is a huge disparity. I mean, is it just obvious that this is such a pitcher friendly park and all that, or is there something else to it?
No, I think it's pitcher-friendly park, and you also have to factor in who they played at home versus who they played on the road. Like that. I mean, their road series that we talked about, they've already been to Baltimore and Cleveland, and they've played at Yankee Stadium. Some of the more difficult places to pitch. So that's a factor. But I think, I think there is a confidence level there that they can miss in the strike zone and not be punished ultimately. Whereas, like, when you're on the road in some of these places, if you miss in the strike zone, you make a mistake, it's a homer. And I think that creeps into a player's head. And then what happens is pitchers start getting a little too fine. They fall behind in counts. Then they got to go back in the zone anyway. So I think that's kind of the mindset. It's just you're how they talk about free and easy. You're just a little bit more confident that if you make a mistake at T-Mobile, you're not going to get punished. Now, that's going to change a little bit as it gets warmer, if it ever gets warmer in this godforsaken place. But like,
you're from Montana, my God,
I know, but it's already
negative 35 degrees in the summer.
It's already been like in the 90s in Montana. We deal in extremes, okay. But yeah, like I think that's it's kind of the mindset of it all, and the numbers are striking too, because like the mistakes or whatever, it sort of happens. It's opponents and everything else, but but the players have talked about it. Like, you're just a little more confident because that a mistake pitch doesn't automatically lead to a homer or a ball to the gap. It can lead to a fly ball that's caught on the warning track.
All right, so so they've obviously, we've seen the numbers, and it's again we talked about the disparity, and it's all of them. I mean, Gilbert's been the one that's been kind of the most consistent, but it's affected Miller, it's affected Castillo. Hancock will come up. You think we'll make that start on Sunday? We talked the other day about Brian Wu and just the hamstring and the forearm and all that. You expect, if it's the 15-day IL, likely to miss the 2 starts. Anything latest on him, and just in terms of where he's at, health wise?
No, I mean, he seemed like he was not doing a ton the next couple of days in Tampa, but he was active. I mean, it wasn't like he had big strapped to a gurney or anything. So I think that's a good sign. The big thing is, I think he's going to be able to start playing catch here soon. That's, being able to play catch and do that is important, because that's what's going to keep him out longer.
How does he play catch? But let me jump in. How does he play catch? I mean, he's on that hamstring's on his back leg, on his push-off leg.
Yeah, but he just kind of.
How does he do it without?
He play catch from one knee. You can do different things like that. You can kind of just be static. You're not doing your full delivery. Okay. I would say, though, they were going to give him 3 or 4 days to make sure that, like, there wasn't anything grabbing. And, but they got to keep his arm active. And there's other exercises. They got all the bands and the heavy balls and stuff they can do, neutralize the leg, balance off of the other leg to do it, just to keep the arm active. Because that's what will, keep him out longer, is not just the hamstring, but if he's not able to throw enough, then he's got to build up again, and then you got to go through that whole process again that we're seeing with all these other guys.
Where do you think I think I asked you this on Wednesday. I want to follow up again. Where do you think they are at right now, just as a team, mentally, physically, all of it, just where they stand? They had one before that road trip started, right, Div? They had a pretty significant lead in the West.
Yeah.
They have seen that lead go from 10 games now all the way down to 4.5. Well, mentally, where do you think that clubhouse is right now?
I think they're happy to be coming back home, and I think they feel like they're a much better team at home. I don't know that they know that they're invincible, but I think they feel better about coming back home, getting some off days. Guys are kind of banged up. Like as far as the league goes, players don't panic. They're not inclined to panic, and I think for these guys, they're just like, well, we're used to having to come back all the time at this point, so they're in a better spot, and they just believe like if they can, because they know they're not playing well hitting wise and everything, but they kind of believe like we'll just keep working. It's got to get better. It's got to get better. But I mean, they've been saying that for a couple of months now. When the overall results, if the losing continues and then the hitting is still suspect over these next 10 days or these next 9 games at home, you could see some more changes then. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw changes of the batting order in the next couple of days just because they can. They're limited on how they can do some certain things with who's playing or whatever, but you're at a point now where you kind of are who you are. I know they're hoping for a reset with Polanco and Garver showing signs, but man, they got to get something from some of these guys. And if not, but the thing is, it's not like they have help down in AAA.
Right.
They have good AAA players there, but they're essentially AAA players. They're not.
What would they do? What do you think they would contemplate doing, lineup wise?
I don't know.
You love lineup talk, so you open. I want this on the record. By the way, you opened up lineup talk.
Oh, I know. I mean, they could move Julio down in the order again. They could play with that. I mean, they could bring up one thing too is they could bring up the third catcher so that you're not wearing down Garver or whatever. They have some guys that Sebi cleared waivers, so they could do that for a bit. I think they're just trying to piece it together until the All-Star break and kind of reset. It's a couple weeks. I think, and they're staying on the West Coast, which I think is big too. Like, they have this homestand, and then they go to the whale's vagina, and then the single worst place on earth, Anaheim. And so, I think that's just try and piece it together, stay on the West Coast, and maybe reassess at the break, because I think we all know kind of they need a bullpen piece and they need a hitter, but maybe the position specifics of what they're looking for may change. Maybe they say, what if there's a third baseman available? Maybe we say, we'll get the third baseman, we'll move Rojas the second, and do it that way. Because like with Polanco, if he doesn't start going here, you've invested some money, but it's a club option for next year. It's like, $750 or whatever. At some point, if it's not going to be there, then either keep him on the bench or, try something different. And you can't let that like his salary,
right,
or even Haniger's salary, if you decide you don't want to do that, be dictative into what you're going to do and make you afraid to do something.
Yeah, I mean,
at some point it's a sunken cost one way or the other, especially like with Polanco, where you don't have a commitment for next year. You could call it sunk cost and move on if you had to, but I don't necessarily sit there and say that Ryan Bliss is the answer. I know there are certain people that think he's the be all and end all. I don't think that's.
He'll get exposed, Ryan.
He's already been exposed.
He'll get you're right. But if he plays more, he'll get exposed. Yeah, it's just like the Sam Haggerty thing 2 years ago.
Yeah,
we all wanted him to play more. He played more, and just now you know why he was. A utility player, and that's what Ryan Divish. You will be. Were and will always be a utility player, but so will Ryan Bliss.
Well, that's what people don't get sometimes about it, is that the reason they're having the success they're having is just you're putting him in the optimal situations to have success. It's like, like everybody says, oh, Luke Ray's got to do this, that, and this. Part of the reason, he's playing well is because you put him in the positions where he's going to have the optimal ability to succeed. And I think they've done that with Bliss. If you go back and look and extrapolate the numbers, 6 of Bliss's hits came in 2 games. Right. I think he only has 12 total. That's, if you're going to criticize somebody for having bad numbers and you extrapolate it all down, you have to do the same if you're going to, laud the same guy and say, oh yeah, he should be in. Well, take a closer look and see.
The problem with him right now is, for the most part, they've been built, and I know it's a trend in baseball anyways, but they've been built in a way where it's so platoon heavy.
Mhm.
They're so dependent on it, and the matchups and all that, and which is it deviates from the quote old school way of how you used to build a baseball team, and I know it's evolved and all that, and more teams are doing what they're doing more than ever, but God, it's problematic because you're having to juggle playing time like almost every game. With
The
these
thing
guys.
is, I mean, that's the one thing though, is like people sitting there and say, well, you got to play this guy. Well, they're going to play at some point in the
Right.
game. If you're using platoons,
Yeah.
I mean, like if there's a lefty starter, and you don't have Luke Raley starting or Josh Rojas starting, there's a good chance they're going to be in the game with the game on the line. And I think that's what people tend to forget. They only look at the lineup and say, here, it's the starting lineup. This is what matters. This is all how it's going to be. Well, no. And realistically, the two at bats that they might not get as a starter, what you're saying is the percentages say those two at bats would be lost at bats if they're in there against the lefty or against a bad matchup. But we can get them for quality at bats late in the game.
What do they do with Haniger? I mean, and not only just Divish, not only the rest of this year, but he has got. Is it a player option?
That's a player option for next year.
Jesus, and how much is it? Like 18?
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
Oh my Lord!
It's weird. Like he looked fine at the beginning. I thought he was banged up a little bit, and then now he's not really playing, so you don't really know who he is or what he is. He's got a lot of moving parts. The one thing about Mitch is like every time you kind of write him off and say like he's cooked, he figures out a way to be better, and maybe that'll happen. He's not playing enough really to influence it now, but that's a decision they'll have to make. That's why it's easier. Like if they wanted to cut bait with Polanco, they don't have that. They have the club option, not a player option. You're not getting a lot more money. So
how surprised are you on Polanco? I mean, again, he had the injury history, but in his career, hitting wise, he never struggled like this.
Yeah, I'm surprised more about the strikeouts than I am about the lack of production or whatever. But like it's how he's not putting up numbers. He's striking out more. But I think at times too, it looks like he's obviously chasing hits because there's a guy that always has numbers. When he's healthy, he always puts up numbers. So when you don't have your numbers, you get out of why you got the numbers in the first place. And I think sometimes like he's susceptible to chasing hits, and like they all are. I mean, they all admit it. No matter they can sit there and say, I just focus on I want to control what I can control and this and that, and I just worry about hitting it hard. Yeah, it's nice to say to us, but like it's clear sometimes their actions don't speak to it because they're human and they want to contribute and they don't want to suck and they don't want to be bad on the field, and like that's what happens is you get to a point where you're trying so hard and you want it to happen. Like I remember Adam Fraser just a couple of years ago finally just said, you know what, screw it. My numbers are going to be my numbers. I can't fix them.
Yeah.
But I'm part of a winning team and I've never won at the big league level. So I'm just going to enjoy this part of it. And you know what happened? His numbers got better because he just was focused on winning, and then you just play, and then that kind of helps. But like if you get caught up in your batting average and all that, like the best thing the Mariners should do is they should pull that shit off the board. Pull it off so they can't see it. I mean, they know it, but pull it off. Don't have it.
You know what though? But part of me wants to say, if they're that mentally fragile,
well, it's not like they're fragile. They're just it's just like they get caught up in it because like it's no different. It's like it's like for us, like Puck, I can't put together 3 good shots on a golf course to save my freaking life.
Oh, and we're not going to do it today when we play Ian's tournament.
No, I mean a god awful amount of freaking water out there and everything else, and just like I got to drive like 40 miles to get there, And then
me and my buddy are taking an Uber down. What do you think that's going to cost?
Yeah, I'm because you're going to be pounding beers at a rapid rate.
I just don't need to be driving home from there at 8:30 at night.
Yeah, especially when you got to go to you got to go to San Juan Islands,
Siberia. I mean, it's 45 miles from where I live. I think it's deep.
Yeah, as Eric Williams says, that's deep, fool. That's way deep.
Well, hey, if Ian's watching or listening to this, probably not. Don't put us on the back. Please put us on the front.
Yeah,
I don't want to play the back.
Well, like for a while there, I heard on the T sheet that Softy was in the group in front of us. I mean, like, and he's with Fane, which is weird because I don't think Softy and Fane hung out like outside of the office. But I'll be trying to hit him. Like, there's no doubt in my mind.
Please do.
I mean,
Please.
like, what I'm trying to do is avoid conversations because I don't want to hear how good from Fane about how good his son's golf game is.
Well, wait till you see. I think his son is playing with him. And listener and viewer, we're talking about the Mare Maple Valley Open. It's hosted by one Ian Furness. His charity raises money for Brandon Huffman DPIG and the Jordan Morris Foundation and the Holinsky Foundation. It's a great golf tournament. I was trying to think earlier today how many years he's been doing this. I think it's over 10, but wait till you see Fane's kid hit a ball. You're going to be so angry. It's just...
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, don't these white people in suburbia buy it from like a Nordstrom? You can buy that swing from a Nordstrom. You know?
I'm just telling you, it's just so smooth, and
Fane's son, bad. Fane's son's wearing the white belt too. He have white belts.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
white belt, and he'll be wearing because he's Dick Fane's son. He'll be wearing FootJoys. It's not because they're real golf shoes and not Nikes. Yeah. I'll have Jordan golf shoes on, but he'll be wearing FootJoys.
Yeah, FootJoys because that's what professional golfers wear.
Yeah, he'll have the Fred Couples visor instead.
No, they don't wear the visors. They don't wear the visors. They wear the hats. All right. I lost track of what we were talking about.
No, I mean, like, this
Polanco
is the thing.
out. I want Polanco out. I want Haniger out. I just want them all out.
But there's just not. I don't know that there's pieces right now to get, and I don't know what there will be moving forward. I mean, we can talk about it. Like, people can sit there and say make a trade now. It's just not happening. There's not trades. I mean, there are teams that have bigger needs than the Mariners, and like Houston needs a starting pitcher. They're like piecing it together. But they haven't been able to get Eric Fetty because the White Sox are waiting. It's like these trades just the market opens up, and a lot of teams are still self-assessing. I mean, like, look at the Blue Jays. Like, their GM just came out and said today, like, look, we want to build around Vlad and Bo Bichette and all these guys, and we still think we have a good team. But, like, if we have to rebuild, we won't be afraid to do it. At least he didn't just say they're not going anywhere. He said, like, look, if they don't start playing better, this is what we're going to be forced to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you on this one. I mean, because there's so many teams that are still in it, especially in the National League, and for that part in the American League. But now, what about these other teams, though, in terms of what they can offer from a talent level at the minor league level? Doesn't Seattle jump above some of these teams because of what their talent pool is right now in the minors?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, and teams know that, so they're going to ask for the world. And that's going to be the interesting aspect. Like, the Astros don't have as much talent in the minor league system to offer. The Dodgers have a lot. They have plenty. They're going to make a run. I mean, whether it's Bo Bichette or Vlad or Luis Robert, they need help, especially with Mookie being out. Braves have some talent. They'll probably take a look at it. So, but, like, if you think about it, it doesn't always have to be the marquee guy if you have the right pieces. Like, a few years ago when Acuna blew out his knee the first time, and everybody thought the Braves were done and everything, and they go out and they got Adam Duvall, I think it was, and Jock Peterson. Not big name guys, whatever. They were just kind of, and those guys got into a good winning situation, and Peterson had played in a lot of winning situations before, got hot, and they helped carry him. Like, you don't need, it's great. Luis Robert is unbelievably talented, and you have him for multiple years. But it's like, what best fits you and what best addresses your need, and can you get it without giving up everything?
Yeah. What did Lane Thomas do it for you?
Yeah, I think he'd be great. I don't know why the Nats wouldn't want to keep him. But
and they're one of those teams that are still in it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, we're joking, but like you said, like Tyler Anderson. If they would need another starter, Tyler Anderson fits, and so does. Yeah. In some ways, Rengifo, or even because Rengifo can play third or second, or even Taylor Ward. But like, it's the Angels, and Hardy Moreno don't want to trade with Jerry. So it's like, and the A's. I mean, Brent Rooker fits this team, but the A's have been hesitant to trade with the Mariners in the past. So, it's not just about, like, everybody sits there and say, and like the Mariners have been kind of infamous for saying, well, we come up second, in these things. But at the same time, like, there are reasons why teams won't trade with them, and it's
Well,
Some
what,
teams
I don't
don't.
understand. Like because they don't like the front office.
Well, no, like, well, I mean, the Angels don't want to trade with
Well,
the
I
Mariners,
get the Angels, but
but
what
like
about the other teams?
the A's just were hesitant to trade within the division because they didn't want it to come back to bite them in the ass. I think is what they didn't like. The Mariners offered 4 players for Matt Chapman when he was coming out when they were going to trade him, and they didn't.
Do you know who those 4 players were?
It was Marte and Williamson, and a couple lower level guys, but it was a better package than Shea Langoliers and whatever that guy was.
Hey, Marte's back. Hey, shout out Marte. He's back with the Reds.
But like they just didn't want to. The Mariners felt like a couple different times they've made offers to the A's, and the A's just were resistant for it. They felt like because it was in division, they didn't want to do it.
Hey, where are we at health-wise with Andres Munoz? Is that something going to be when you get down to the ballpark today? Or no, you're not going to be at the ballpark today. But if Jude's there, find out what's with – because he just – there was something off about him in that last appearance.
Yeah, he admitted he didn't feel right. He just didn't feel good. And I don't know if like the back – he wouldn't elaborate. Neither would Service. Maybe the back was tight. And I think it's just something he's going to have to deal with. There are going to be times – and I'm guessing, too, like, he probably didn't think he was going to have to pitch.
Well, yeah. That's true.
But, like, with the way the bullpen is now, you just don't know, and they've been used a lot. So, they're going to monitor. Hollander's talking today about injury updates and stuff. So, Santos is throwing a live BP at 2 p.m. So, if he comes out of that good, he should be with Tacoma on Tuesday.
Okay, and then how many rehab starts? You still think the expected arrival is what? After the All-Star break?
Yeah, I mean, he'd probably have to make 4 or 5 rehab appearances.
Okay.
We're talking 3 days in between, 2 days and then 2 days and then 1 and then,
Is it me or is the Logan Evans thing taking too long?
No, it's right about on time. He threw back-to-back last night.
Was that the first time?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a test for them to see if he can.
We'll see how he feels it, and maybe he does one more and then maybe he's ready, maybe not. I mean, they're going to make sure he's actually throwing the ball well. Not just based on ERA or whatever, because I think last night he faced one hitter,
Well, yeah.
So it's so I think they're going to make sure he's throwing it pretty well and he's pretty confident before they bring him up.
Okay.
And then they'll go from there. But yeah, you can see the bullpen starting to get a little bit better. And they still even have some guys down in Tacoma that they haven't used because they're on, minor league deals and they're without options.
Yeah.
They can still use in the future. Ty Buttrey and some of those guys, if they really needed to, they can do that. But yeah, that's kind of where they're at. I don't see any bullpen arms being moved. And I'm certain within the next 2 weeks there'll be a waiver claim that they make or something like that.
What's Spire's update though? What I can't even remember. What the hell's he out for again? I can't even remember.
Rotator cuff strain.
That's right.
He's playing catch, and so he's started throwing and stuff. So I assume he'll be back in Seattle today too. He's probably going to throw a bullpen here, I would assume, and then they'll move closer to building him back up.
Can you do a story on the strong dad vibe that Trent Thornton puts off and ask him what style of minivan he drives? Because I just watched that little series they did of them going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the jeans on, the hat, and then the short sleeve buttoned up. I mean, the guy's picking up his kids. He's got a cooler in the back. He's going to go watch him at the ball game. He's probably going to be roped into doing Game Changer.
Well, he doesn't listen to music after like the 70s, he said, or 80s, after the late 80s, because he likes just old school classic rock. So
I like that.
His walkout music when he was with the Blue Jays was "The Stroke" by Billy Squier, and then one of the hitters stole it, which he still is bitter about. And then, and now for here, and because he's kind of a psycho when he pitches, he uses Lunatic Fringe from Red Rider and from So he's old school, different. Yeah, like minivan, or he could be a Honda Passport or a Honda Pilot type of guy too. Volkswagen Jetta.
Volkswagen Jetta for sure. Have you ever covered a team in your tenure that is what's their overall? What's their record right now? Are they? What's their record? Hold on, they're in first place. They got a 4.5 game lead. What the hell is their record? Give me 1 second. I should have this right up in front of me, and we should know this off the top of our head. Okay, they are 46-37. They are 9 games over 500. Have you ever covered a team that's 9 games over 500, has a 4.5 game lead in a division? But you can honestly say this: question mark at first, question mark at DH, question mark at right, question mark at third, and question mark in left.
Puck, I've barely covered teams that are 9 games over 500 in my time, and I've been doing this since 2006.
It's
There's
remarkable. It's remarkable
I mean,
where they're
like
at.
2020, there were times I think in 18 when they lost that lead where they were pretty far above 500 late in the season. And then 2022, there was even 21. I think they got as much as 7 over 500. Yeah, like I've never covered a team that's been in first place, like legitimately in first place this late. Like last year, they snuck in for a couple of days, like 4 or 5 days, but like it was like game lead. No, I've never covered anything like this. And like to do it how they're doing it, they're averaging like 3.5 runs per game, 3.6 runs per game. So no, but it does speak also kind of like modern baseball and where we're at. I didn't think I'd cover a baseball season when only 4 or 5 players have a 900 OPS or higher.
And the OPS overall is way down.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't think I'd cover a season where like, 240 is the league average and you're going to have maybe 5 guys hit over 300.
Yeah.
But then, I didn't think I'd cover a season where like every day people freak out about something on social media. And so it's like, what is this scout texted me? And he's just like, hey man, like, I don't know how you do it. He goes, some of your followers are idiots. He's like, the amount of like speculation and like weird conspiracy theories when Cole Young got pulled last night, he's like, I'm sorry. It's like ready, shoot, aim.
It's on my list. I almost forgot to ask. Why was he pulled?
I haven't got a hard confirmation, but if you go back and watch a couple of his at bats and what happens afterwards, you might.
Oh, threw a fit?
No, it wasn't a throwing a fit, but like I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to go back and watch him. So what? What did he do?
There were some reports saying that maybe he didn't go as hard as he should have to first base. And that's why he got lifted.
Okay. All right.
He's not being traded. He's not hurt.
And that's what Hollander told you. Not traded, not hurt.
Yeah, he was at the Storm game with his daughter, so I felt bad like bugging him. He's trying to just enjoy it. And you got probably me and Dreyer and Kramer and every other person with his cell phone texting him about Cole Young.
Okay, well that's
I
his
think
job.
that's what it was. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Is maybe like a little lesson there. Maybe
I like it.
Maybe he's going to Tacoma. I don't think so. You look at his numbers and it doesn't scream promotion to Tacoma. So.
If you don't hustle up the line, you're out. I like it. All right, we'll cut you loose. We'll see you later today, the Mayor Maple Valley Open, and I'll try to hit into you or you hit into Softy, and we'll celebrate.
Yeah, we can do
multiple
some
amounts of beers and drinks.
Yeah, live promos for your podcast.
You got it. All right. We'll see you later today. There he is, Ryan Divish, all brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Visit chaletbowl.com to make your next reservation.